Welcome to She's a Full-On Monet, a digital lifestyle magazine for women. Every week, our editor-in-chief, Kelly Castillo, along with Megan Block and special guests, participate in a deep dive discussion about recent articles and topics we have covered. We invite you to become part of our community where everyone's welcome.
Hi, this is Molly with She's a Full-On Monet, and today we have the pleasure of interviewing Camille Chulick, the founder of skincare brand Averr Aglow. Camille, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much, Molly.
Okay, so I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your story and how you founded the brand.
Sure. So I started Averr Aglow about 7 years ago now, and it was born out of fruition with my bad skin. And what I mean by that is I was breakout prone, oily, and I had battled it when I had started breaking out at 13. And I was in my late 20s at this point, and I had worked through different things, countless topical products from expensive over the counter, drugstore, dermatologist, you name it. I had tried it, clean diets.
You ran the gamut and nothing worked.
Yeah, exactly. Estheticians with facials. So at that time, I was in my late 20s and I was really frustrated with my skin. So I started, having had gone to all of those different authorities and whatnot, they had all given me little tidbits about the problem, but I couldn't quite connect fully what was going on and why I was still breaking out in my late 20s, because I had been told. I remember a couple dermatologists that I'd visited through the years that said, you're going to grow out of it, so don't worry about it. And
right.
When you're nearing 30 and you're saying, well, when's that time you're going to grow out of it?
Right.
It's not exactly moving. So what do I do? And what am I doing wrong? Right. It's not for lack of trying to get rid of the issue. So after digging into the problem and really researching it, I started realizing because it had been 16 years and I had learned things as I went about it. And it was truly a pain point of mine. So I wanted to solve it because I didn't want to go from battling breakouts to battling wrinkles. Right. So
Right.
that's kind of like
no breaks in between, like no smooth skin.
Exactly. I think that's what we're all after. Right. So
yeah.
Upon my research, I had found that the internal factors that everyone had talked about with the clean diet and supplements of you can't clear up your skin topically, that it did have a connection topically. So internal and external do work together. And I had started connecting the pieces of how that works, why it works that way. So for example, with women dealing with hormonal aspects of their body, the hormones can affect our skin. So our lifestyle factors, what we eat, how stressed we are, time of the month, all of that can affect the skin. And hormones, when they're created in the body, they design a purpose to send signals to how the body needs to respond. But what it does do with certain hormones, say like cortisol, when you're stressed, cortisol is released and it increases the sebum levels in your skin, which is that oily substance your skin makes, which sebum in itself is there to protect your skin. So it's good, it has a purpose.
But too much.
But unfortunately, acne bacteria found on the skin love sebum and reproduces in sebum. And so when you have this bad bacteria mixing with dead skin, it creates a clogged pore. And that's kind of what goes on below the surface of your skin. So you have this hormonal response from different factors, and it can also be from medication. There's a couple other things that affect for sure. You have that increase and you have this chain reaction of a breakout. So it's not wrong. Supplements and clean diet and all of that is important. And it is important to take care of yourself. But the external factor is you can help your skin topically by exfoliating, by balancing that sebum. So your skin stops overproducing and helping eliminate that bad bacteria and really strengthening the immune system on the skin. So it's kind of connecting all of that together. And that's when I realized, well, skincare does have its role and internal does have its role. And let's marry the two and we can get fantastic, stellar results.
Oh, wow. So you just were like, I'm going to make up a skincare brand. No one has made this that helps my skin, so I'm going to do it.
No, not necessarily in the beginning, because I was just looking at, this is more of a problem I need to solve. This was a frustration for me. And then let me go and blog and help other women with it. It was something I was starting to connect. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll just tell them what they need to do with the routine or what ingredients they need to get, and they can combine it themselves. But at the end of the day, well, it's fun to jump on Pinterest and maybe make a homemade mask once or twice. But in our today's busy world, are women really, do they have the time to even go combine all this stuff and figure it out? And I felt that it would be too cumbersome for them. While I would give them good information and help take the mystery out of breakouts, it really wasn't going to solve the problem of the skincare aspect. So that's when my husband and I started crafting batches in the kitchen and started researching skincare ingredients that would kind of help with those things I was talking about, the exfoliation, the dead skin, boosting the immunity in the skin and that bad bacteria, and different plant extracts and oils and ingredients I had come across through my research would help those different factors. So that's when we started combining formulas and our recipes, really, of just, let's try this, let's try that. Oh, I found rosewater. How does that help the skin? That kind of thing. So
how long did it actually take you to find the right formula to help your skin? Like how long was that process? It seems like it was just try and repeat.
Well, it's not to say like, oh, at that exact second, there's already things I had been researching. Like, for example, I had known for years that jojoba is supposed to be good for mimicking sebum, and it helps stop sebum. So I had tried tea tree oil over the years, jojoba. There had already been ingredients I had tried by themselves. But what it was is when you combine them together, because acne is a pretty stubborn issue. As I don't know if you've ever dealt with it, but
I haven't, but I had a best friend who had cystic acne in high school, and she used to have to go to the dermatologist and get them injected, which she said was absolutely painful. And they looked painful.
Yes, exactly.
She was on Retin-A and all that. I don't think they had made that. What's the prescription one yet?
Accutane.
Accutane. Yeah. She was on some other just really skin stripping, hard things to get rid of it. And in the end, she just would have to go and they'd have to inject it.
Right.
To get rid of it. Otherwise it would never go away.
Exactly. And it's painful. It's stubborn.
Right.
So, well, like I said, tea tree, you might have heard as a good remedy for it. The problem is tea tree might help with the bad bacteria of acne, but it's not exfoliating or it's not boosting the skin's health. So you kind of need to combine multiple ingredients together to get that synergistic blend of results. So I was after not only clearing my skin, because it also felt like from the acne perspective, it was like you had to choose. Like when you go in and you buy skincare, it's like skincare for acne. But what about, I want to clear up my breakouts, but I also want dewy, cushy, healthy, glowy skin. So how can we clear the skin and not only clear it, but also get the results of, whenever, anytime you'd see a friend pass who had perfect complexion, how can we get that clear skin plus a good complexion? So that was really what I was after. So really digging in and learning about the different nutritional profiles, oils and extracts and butters and waters that I had been learning about. So I had found I knew some ingredients already from just my history with breakouts, but then also digging into, there was a website it's a cosmetic ingredient database. So I started just messing around on that and looking at what ingredients were out there. And then you can contact the vendors, they'll send you a sample, and then you can kind of see what it's like. Did it meet your expectations? Did it fit into what we were working on? So that's where we were crafting the batches in the kitchen, but it took multiple months and months and months. It wasn't like, in 2 weeks we had a formula. So, and to this date, there's probably been hundreds of iterations on the formula because of just different tweaks. So when you're making a skincare product, even though you think it might be perfect at that exact second, sending it out, say in trucks that are sitting in 100-degree heat, does the formula stay stable and all that, or does it stay preserved? Because there's different, freezing will affect the product. Heating it up too high will affect the product. So making sure all of it. Exactly.
Okay.
So it wasn't overnight or anything like that. It was over multiple months, if not probably about a year's time.
So you and your husband started in the kitchen of your house. That's how the business started?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. And so now you've moved out of your kitchen, I assume.
We have moved
And
out
now
of the kitchen.
can you tell me a little bit about how that move was made?
Yeah. So after crafting those batches, we also at that time we had taken it after we had kind of come to something that we were happy with. We took it to a third party manufacturer, and they have chemists on staff that helped us tweak the formula. So then they started producing the products for us. It's very typical in the cosmetic world to have it made by a party. It's not usually done in house, and it's pretty rare. So they started creating the batches for us. And then we also added our toner and serum and makeup remover at that point. And they helped us with the formulas of what we were after for those products. And they started making the batches, or we would get bottles. But what was happening was it was really hard because we were trying to get this off the ground ourselves. This was all bootstrapped. We were using our own money. And it was something that we were having to take what we were earning and put it back into the business. We didn't have any funding. In fact, we were in debt at the time, and we had very minimal from our previous business. So we were trying to get this to work, and we were using everything we could to put it back into the business to kind of, get it rolling. So at the time, there was lags on when we would get the products from them, and we're trying to do marketing, and we would hit different things that maybe were working. We were getting dangerously close to running out of product. And the problem is because in the beginning of a business, when you're dealing with cash flow issues, it's really important not to run out of product because you need all the cash you can get to keep a business going.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those decisions we ended up making where I'm very passionate about the ingredients and where they're coming from, what's going in the products. And at that time, we decided, well, then there was a couple quality control issues we were having with what they were making. So we decided to end up taking it back in-house and started making it ourselves. Because when we had initially started and we had put up our site, we had did it for a little bit of time in our garage. Like we sanitized our bottles on the stove, and then we mixed our ingredients and made this clean room and everything. It was pretty fun and cute.
Like a little lab.
Like a little lab, right? Exactly. And wearing.
Did you guys have goggles and lab coats?
Not goggles. The glass is more for when you're mixing batches in case.
Right.
But yes, hair nets and gloves.
Oh, cute.
So when we took it back from them, we started actually doing it in our basement because we had a 2,000 square foot. At this time we had moved, and we're in a house that had a 2,000 square foot unfinished basement. So we put all the plastic wrap up down there and then started creating the batches. Well, then finally, when we were doing all the marketing efforts and, telling my story about the breakouts and why the skincare works, and started taking off, and we kind of outgrew that because then we had, the local city compliance officer knock on the door saying that people thought we were doing drugs in the basement because we're wearing these.
They thought you had a meth lab?
Yeah, exactly.
Some Breaking Bad stuff going on down there.
So when we were explaining that we're making skincare, and they're like, yeah, it's a common story where people start out in their kitchen, in their basement, and they kind of have to they end up outgrowing and have to move out operations. So at that point, this was back in 2019. So we ended up getting a facility not too far from our house, and then kind of moved operations in mid 2019. So, and that's kind of really where we started, growing the business from there. It had, we had dialed it in, we had the formulas dialed in, we had gotten the manufacturing down, and, all the good manufacturing processes that's required for skincare. And so we were in our facility, and then we kind of outgrew that facility. And then we ended up moving next door to the second one, and then moved again to the one we're currently in, which is now about 113,000 square feet. So we did this stages of growth of started in the kitchen, then went to the basement, and then went to 7,000 square foot, and then it went from there. So,
oh, that's amazing.
Now we have
not bad to upgrade.
Yeah, now we have our own lab and our own chemists, and it's been quite a journey. And I wouldn't have said I would have gotten into the manufacturing element of it in the beginning, but I've enjoyed doing it. So,
right. That's my next question. What are some things from the beginning? What's something that you wish you would have known when you started the company that maybe you would have done differently? Like a hurdle that would have been easier to overcome had you known?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. It's a loaded question, because if you go back and tell your pre-self, you might have made different decisions, which might have led to different mistakes. Because the entrepreneur journey isn't all, it's not rise and success. It can be messy. There's mistakes made. So I think I really wouldn't have changed anything really in the journey. The only thing that I have thought about when I've gotten this question before is it doesn't have to be perfect. When you think when you're starting out, this was something that I had learned in one of my other businesses, is that we were creating these apps, and before we launched it on the app store, we're like, okay, everything is perfect. It looks perfect. And it took 8 months when it really should have taken like 2 months, and then it iterated, because ultimately the product you start with to the product, it ends up evolving. It really depends on what the consumer wants and what they like about it, what they don't like about it. So even though you might think it's perfect, put it out there, start getting people's opinion. And of course, people that are not everybody's opinion, because everybody has an opinion, but the people that are truly your client, who would buy it from you and would keep visiting over and over and continue to buy. So take their feedback and iterate.
Right.
So that's maybe, but we did get better at that and not being so slow with what we were doing, but that's something maybe. But the whole thing, I think it's really taught me so much. It's expanded me as an individual and working with employees and the nuances of, like I said, we had other businesses, but this one, because it's covers so many facets. It's a brand, and we're doing the manufacturing. You have all kinds of employees and workers. So it really has taught me a lot. So I don't know that I would go back and change anything, because you can kind of iterate off of what you learn. So.
Right. And it sounds like this is like a passion project for you.
For sure.
It's so personal for your skin and your journey. So I'm glad that it's worked out. It sounds like it's going fantastic.
Yeah. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears for sure.
I bet. It sounds like it. Can you tell me where the name came from?
Yeah. So Averr Aglow. Now, originally we had named it Hello Aglow, and we just wanted something fun and fresh. But at the time, that was a learning curve in itself, is trademarking a name and figuring out how to trademark. And so Averr Aglow, there was a trademark too close to it that had gotten filed very similarly around the same time. So when we were looking at, let's change it to something more unique and something that, we can continue to brand on for a long time, we came across the word averr. So averr is usually used in a legal sense, but the definition of it is to state to be true. So when we were putting that with Aglow, the whole goal behind this brand was to not only clear skin, but to also have, like I said, that glow, that confidence. So that state to be true. So true glow. That was kind of what we were after.
That's clever. I love that.
That was the background to really embody the message we were trying to send to our clients.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your products? What are you've already told me some of the key ingredients, but if you want to get into more of that and how they work, and do you have the most popular products that customers love?
Right. So
that's a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
I'll break it down. I understand where you're going. So I'll break it down. What we had started with is our clear skin kit, and that's our signature routine to help. So if you're battling breakouts, that's what you would start with, is the kit. It has a cleansing routine that you do in the morning and evening, overnight mask, and a moisturizer. And then clients from there will add our toner, which is our luminous complexion toner. And you add that in. It really kind of grounds the routine, because it's a nice staple, because it helps with the look of pores, and it's really helping slough off, the dead skin that we talked about that can clog and make breakouts. It's full of a lot of botanicals, and it's not a drying toner, because that's a big complaint with toners. So we had worked to make it very soothing, very calming, and also how does it help? Now, so for example, with pores in general, with breakouts, when you have that overabundance of sebum, the sebum can stretch out the pore lining of the wall of the pore. So it makes your pores look bigger. So people will say you can't change the size of the pore. And that's true. But what you can do is help boost the collagen to make the pore appear smaller and help that. So that's kind of where those ingredients will come in and help with that concept. So that's kind of the signature routine, is the clear skin kit. If you're battling breakouts, you've been battling them, that's the routine you do morning and evening. It's a simple routine. It probably takes about less than about 45, maybe a minute. in total to do.
Oh, that's
We
good.
have,
Skincare regimen can take hours.
we try to make it as simple as possible, right?
I love that.
And then you have the overnight mask, which you can also use as a spot treatment, but it has a French pink clay in it, which has a negative ion charge, which helps draw out underneath the surface. So breakouts can form under the surface before you ever see them. And it can be weeks at a time before you ever see them, before they pop up. So sometimes you'll have customers that will say, oh, a skincare product is making me break out. And that is kind of in part of how breakouts work. And it's not necessarily the skincare's fault. It's doing its job. It's just, it does seem counterproductive of why would you break out more to clear up your skin? And the reason behind that is skincare can draw up what's already formed up and out. And once a breakout, unfortunately, is formed, it has to come out. So again, that compilation of that bacteria and that sebum and that dead skin. So if you're pinching a whitehead and you see that white gunk, that's what that is coming out of the skin. So if it's formed, you have to get it out. So another way that you'll break out from skincare products is that, say, you've maybe heard people using vitamin C and them saying, oh, vitamin C breaks me out. Well, the reason for this is vitamin C turns over those dead skin cells. So as you're sloughing them off, you're getting rid of them, which can lead to clogged pores. But ultimately, vitamin C, the whole goal is to get you the good skin underneath, and you're getting rid of the dead. So at the same time, you might have a few byproducts of clogged pores. So really sticking with the routine and making sure that it's not one of those two scenarios going on before you kind of ditch it. So, for example, like our mask pulls up, has that negative ion charge. So it's going to pull up stuff below the surface because your skin is a natural detoxifier as well. So it's something to take into consideration. And that's kind of around what we did with the products. So that's the basic routine for the breakouts. And then we have a makeup remover and everything that we make, though. And then we have our anti-aging line, which I tell everyone I don't love the term anti-aging because I think that, obviously we're going to age. So my goal is, how can we healthy age? How can we support our skin nutritionally as we age? So kind
of graceful aging.
Exactly. But everything we make is, clean, plant-based, and really around how to make the products efficacious and really help the situation or whatever it's trying to solve.
I do have a question. Can people who don't, I'm assuming that this is a yes, but I just want to make it clear. Can people who don't suffer from acne use your products? Is that also beneficial to them? Or is it just geared towards people who suffer from acne?
Yeah, no, it's a question we get all the time. So we have people with psoriasis and eczema that will reach out all the time that have used it. It's helped with that. And also, so we have technically our second line. So we took kind of the same concept we do with our clear skin line, and then we made the Forever Radiant line, which is now more of that extracts for healthy aging. So you can use one or the other. Now, if you're battling the breakout, stick with the clear skin line. But to answer you specifically, there's nothing in those products that wouldn't be beneficial for everyone. So we're using like German and Roman chamomile, and like I said, the French pink clay and jojoba and grape seed and organic rosewater and cucumber water. So those are all things that naturally are going to help your skin, whether you have breakouts or not. They just also help breakouts. So we have a lot of people that like the routine just because it does help their skin and it is clean and natural. So for sure.
Yeah, and it sounds quick. So I think I'm going to have to switch to your line because my process is I don't do it half the time because I just don't have the energy and I'm lazy.
Yeah, for sure. I understand.
And I'm not in love with the products that I use. I don't really see any difference. I don't know but I'm definitely interested in trying your line. It sounds amazing. The anti-aging.
Yes, exactly. And unfortunately, in the cosmetic industry, a lot of skincare companies are owned by the same family of brands. So when you're usually jumping to another brand that is owned by one of the bigger brands. And
I think like L'Oreal owns like everything.
Right.
Or wait, what's the other? Estee Lauder owns like everything. Lauder, yeah.
And not to say they're good or bad, but they're in the industry. It is common. It's not common to formulate around price. And it's usually a lot of water, emulsifiers, preservative, and then maybe a couple actives thrown in. So when you say I'm not getting results, a lot of times you might be just paying for a lot of water.
I'm sure you're probably right. So that's how your products are different than other skincare products.
Yeah. I mean, I'm, like I said, being passionate about the ingredients. It was always about, when we were looking at it, it wasn't really, obviously I have to make profit as a business owner, but it was about creating a good product, charging what I need to charge so that you're happy with it and you get the results.
Right.
And that was kind of always the philosophy of making it around the results rather than the price point.
Right. No, and that's a good reason for it. Because sometimes you just go into Sephora or Ulta and you feel fleeced.
Right. Not to say that there's not other good companies.
No, there are. There's just the market is so oversaturated with skincare products. You never know. And everybody has different opinions about them. But what everybody is looking for now is clean skincare.
Right. Right.
So you have to be, conscious of what you're putting into your products, which you do. And that's important to customers now more than ever, getting a result from the product.
And I'm sure, Molly, your drawer looks like mine. Growing up, I love skincare. Always passionate about it. I never found anything that I fell in love with, obviously, but till having made my own things. But it's just, my drawer was covered in masks and serums and cleansers. And usually they were half used because by the time I was like, oh, this is not good. But I always had a passion for it. So I love the industry in itself. I love what you can do with it. I love how you can be creative. And I love how the ingredients we choose can help our clients get the results they're after.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can't even tell you how many unused products. I could probably buy a small car with all unused. If you put it together and added it all up at the price that I bought it over the years, I could afford a small car with all my unused makeup. I'm sure you could too. I'm sure many women could.
Yeah, I think you're right for sure.
I mean, it's just sad. And then you look at it and you're just like, what a waste. And I won't throw it out either. And it needs to be thrown out. Because you're like, okay, I paid $40 for this lotion. I never used it. So I'm not throwing it out, even though I know I'm never going to use it again.
Yeah. And then you try to use it up like heavy and you're just like, oh, this is still bad.
Yep. It's a waste. I think after I talk to you, that's going to be my project for the day. I'm going to clean out my my makeup drawers and baskets. Okay, so I know I read on your site that you have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, I believe.
Yes, correct.
Could you explain a little to that about our readers and what they should do if they believe they have this and how it correlates to your acne if it does?
It does, for sure. PCOS is probably where I had my 16-year battle through all that. It's a hormonal problem with the ovaries. Sometimes they're cysts, sometimes they're not. Sometimes it can be tied in with the adrenal glands. It's really finding a good doctor that will listen and really kind of run the tests and kind of work through the issue with you, because PCOS can also give you other symptoms like little black hairs on your chin and heavy periods and bad
it's also
cramp.
Painful. Yeah.
Painful. Yeah. I have, painful, dealt with my fair share of painful cramps. And so again, PCOS is, it's tied with insulin a lot, and insulin with the sugar and all that so if you're kind of battling breakouts on your jawline, that can kind of be something that could be related to PCOS.
Oh, that's a marker?
Yeah. So where you break out can be kind of tied back to what you might be dealing with internally. But yeah, so the jawline is infamous for the PCOS and the sex hormones issue. Progesterone and estrogen and testosterone and precursor hormones as well, androgen hormones. So just really digging into the blood work and kind of troubleshooting that and finding a good doctor that can help you. Because also if you get that balanced out, you're like, for example, our skincare helps with all those aspects of the bacteria and the sebum and dead skin. So it's kind of like if you kind of help support yourself internally with anything that you're dealing with like that, then the skincare also has that much less to work through, and you can kind of, it's a synergistic blend for sure. And also, like I said, PCOS can be you have to stay away from things like refined carbohydrates and sugars in general. It's not really ideal. It can be a little daunting at times.
And there's no cure for PCOS, correct?
I think it's more of a metabolic problem. I really don't know. I think it's more something that you have to work through to say. I don't know that anyone said, I think you can reverse symptoms, but I don't know that it ever truly, it might be just one of those things where you're prone, but I don't know that for a fact since I'm not a doctor.
Right. No, I mean, does it flare up and then abate kind of?
For me, it's been just constantly dealing with it. It's weight gain issues. It's like I said, the cramp, acne. It's just more managing that. So where, for example, like my husband can eat like 2 large pizzas. I look at the pizza and I'm gaining, 3 pounds. So it's kind of something that I've had to manage for years, and just there's different things like you can do to help support it. Like saw palmetto is something that I've been taking, I think B vitamins. But really I've kind of tailored my routine with my doctor around it. But I really only started delving into the PCOS aspect about 2 years ago. But I was pretty sure that I had before I actually got diagnosed. I was pretty sure I've had the symptoms since my early 20s. So it would make sense of some of the things, like I said, the weight gain, the acne, and all of that other stuff that is lovely bundled up with PCOS.
Yeah, it just was undiagnosed. Now you have a reason behind it. Oh, I'm so sorry.
So really supporting. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, we're all dealing with something, right? There's always, I might be dealing with acne, and the next person is dealing with, diabetes or whatnot. But it just, it's really just honing in on what makes sense for you and your lifestyle. And I still eat things that I love and enjoy. I also make sure to take care of myself. Not always. Sometimes it's a little bit harder, especially running a business. You get caught and wrapped up in it. But I also take time to make sure that sometimes I like to do cleanses and real celery juice and all that kind of thing. So, and then I will have my moments though. Like we went out of town through the summer here and we were in Europe. So I had pasta and cappuccino and gelato. Like I believe in that, I think we all talk about self-care, and especially through COVID, what does that look like for you? So really taking care of yourself, but also having fun too, I think is important.
Right. I mean, it's a balance, and you deserve a treat.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Okay. Are there any skincare myths or techniques that people are pushing that are actually damaging to the skin?
I don't know about pushing, but we kind of talked a little bit about why you would break out with products. One of the things is and our particular products, the cleansing routine, you don't need a sink to wash off. You use a spray and a cotton pad. And I know that sink water is full of chemicals and can be kind of an actual problem for aging in itself.
And also, who wants to get their face wet with cold water right before they're going to bed? And that's why I don't wash my face.
Exactly. Right.
I'm interested in this.
Yeah, you'll have to give it a try.
I'm going to.
Like I said, sink water and tap water is full of chemicals. So it's aging to this drying. I
had no idea. Same for the shower?
Yeah, anything if your water is not filtered, whatever's coming out of the faucet. So some people, that's why they'll buy filters for the house, and you can have it for your shower, for your sinks. It also affects your hair color as well, those chemicals. So just as a side note, from the tap.
I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah, all the little secrets of beauty, right?
Oh no, this is good. It's very interesting. Okay, so sink water and shower water, noted.
Unless you buy a filter, there's not too much you can do about it. But that's why our routine, like I said, it's a little different. But I find that once our customers try it, where you spray your face and then you use the cleanser with it, and don't think of a typical gel where you're oh, it's going to be gunky staying on. The cotton pad puts the good nutrition on the skin and is exfoliating. And that stimulation, even with the cotton pad, helps with collagen. Stimulating the skin helps that collagen boosting. So you're doing that. And then the cotton pad is kind of whisking away your dead skin and your makeup and all of the things, the impurities you're trying to pull off. So the cotton pad is kind of replacing the rinsing aspect.
Oh, wow. Do you have a current favorite makeup or skincare trend right now?
I have seen more that makeup is shifting to being not so just makeup. It's more, I've seen different brands putting in good quality ingredients, and it's more like it's actually helping the skin. It's more clean. It's not so for the times you are sleeping in the makeup, you're not going to die. But that trend of inner makeup that's actually supporting the skin, like skincare, is combining that skincare and makeup aspect. I'm seeing that more and more, and I'm really loving that because, like I said, the more you can do for the skin and moving away from some of the more harsher ingredients that makeup has had, is really nice that I'm seeing that. So I'd love to also do that here at Averr Aglow. So hopefully we can release our own makeup skincare line.
Yeah, amazing. And I guess one of the last things I wanted to ask you is what is the number one piece of advice you would give someone struggling with acne? If you have any.
No, I mean, I think it's really understanding the whole connection. So anytime anybody has any questions, we have a wonderful customer service line. So please feel free to ask in any question. We probably heard it all by now. But the biggest thing is that skincare, while I had conflicting advice through everything from after all of my research and everything I've done, after the 16 years of breaking out to now 7 years of barely breaking it out at all, I might have one pop up here and there, but not, I don't break out like I used to with that. I had cystic acne on my jawline and breakouts on my forehead and cheeks and you name it. It's been on every area of my face, but skincare is important, but also making sure you use the right skincare because you can help it topically. I've heard a lot of people around the internet say skincare doesn't matter. And I don't agree with that because I had already done clean diets and drinking a gallon of water a day. And like I said, supplements. And that was part of it. And it is important. And that's super important with, when you're dealing with things like thyroid can affect acne, adrenals, like I said, the ovaries, all of those. It's very hormonally tied. The digestive system, same thing. If you're dealing with IBS and any digestive issues can lead to acne. So you have that internal aspect. Take care of yourself. Find that balance of what works for you. Sometimes even eating, let's say you think something is healthy, let's say it's salmon, and you could be breaking out from that because you're allergic to it. So allergies, if you have really patchy and inflamed all over your face, red, and it's the whole face, it's usually something that you're eating that you're allergic to. But just really paying attention to we're going into the holidays coming up here and you're having pumpkin pie and eggnog and apple pie and mashed potatoes with butter and cheese, and then how is your skin look like after that? So really seeing what might be your problem and then supplementing the skincare in, and then also seeing what might be affecting you, and then kind of work on what that looks like for you. And
it's all tied together.
So I don't know if that was really like one aspect. It's just really
it's definitely helpful. And people can go to your site and there's someone there, customer care will answer their questions about their specific acne.
Yeah. So we have you can even direct messages on our Instagram, our Facebook Messenger, our website with our customer service. And then we also have a Facebook group with over 17,000 women in it, or mostly women. There's men and women, but mostly women that talk about all the things how they're using our routine, the struggle that they've gone through, where they're at in their journey, maybe different supplements they're trying, different
so you've got a whole community.
Yes. Yeah.
That's super cool.
We built this up, and now we have this something I am really proud of is because over time we've helped clear up a lot of women's skin. So now we have this community, and now they're supporting each other of like, oh, this is how I got there. This is what I'm using. So it's really wonderful to see all the before and afters. And it just gives a lot of satisfaction that not only am I not dealing with the issue anymore, now we're helping all these other women who have been in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and even into menopause. Unfortunately, menopause is another factor that will make you break out. So it's like it doesn't go anywhere. So that women community has been really wonderful. At first I was like, should we make a group? Now I'm really happy we did, because the community jumps in and helps support each other through this journey and the struggle.
Oh, that's so great.
So you can also reach out there and ask a bunch of questions. And we are in the group, obviously moderating. And then we also have our clients who have become our advocates and won't go to anything else because their skin has cleared up.
Okay. I think that's all I need from you, unless you wanted to add anything else.
No, I appreciate you having me on, and thank you for letting me tell my story. I have...
we're going to link to all of your stuff in the article, your site, your Instagram, all your socials. Is there anything else you want us to include?
No, I think we're good. I appreciate it.
All right. And I have my stuff on the way. I just ordered. Thank you very much. I'm excited. I did it while we were on the Zoom.
Nice.
I like to multitask.
If you have any questions on it, please, reach out. We'll be happy to, I'll be happy to explain it to you in more detail too offline.
All right, Camille, thank you so much for doing this.
All right. It was lovely talking to you.
You too. Have a great day.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to bookmark our site, she'safullonmonet.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're enjoying this podcast, it helps us a lot if you can follow, rate, and review. See y'all next week.